When the roles begin to shift, how to regain your children's respect without begging for it. There comes a moment in life, a quiet but powerful one, when you realize the roles between you and your children have started to shift. For years, maybe decades, you were the center of their world. You guided them, protected them, gave up your own needs for theirs. You were the rock, the teacher, the constant. But then, somewhere along the way, something changed. Now maybe they ignore your advice. Maybe they roll their eyes when you speak or treat your concerns like they don't matter. Maybe they make you feel invisible, or worse, like a burden. And that hurts, deeply. If you've started noticing your children treating you with less respect, you're not alone. It's frustrating. It's painful. You might feel tempted to remind them of all the sacrifices you made, to make them see everything you gave up for them. But here's the hard truth. Getting angry won't fix it. In fact, anger usually pushes them further away. So what will work? What actually restores respect in a relationship that feels unbalanced? Here are 6 powerful shifts, practical, no-nonsense actions you can take that can completely change the way your children see you. They might surprise you, but if you stick with them, you'll find your voice again. 1. Stop chasing their approval. Trying too hard to please your children can actually work against you. When you constantly put their needs above your own in an effort to win their love or approval, it can create a dynamic where they begin to see your self-sacrifice as the norm, and worse, as something they're entitled to. Over time, this can lead to a loss of mutual respect. They may unconsciously start to take your presence, your efforts, and your care for granted, assuming you'll always be there, bending and accommodating, no matter how they treat you. But respect doesn't bloom from overgiving. It grows from balance, from strength, and from self-respect. That means drawing healthy boundaries even when it's uncomfortable. It means learning to say no without guilt and expressing your feelings honestly, even if they don't want to hear them. It's about standing in your truth, not to provoke or punish, but to protect your dignity. And here's the shift. When you begin to value your own needs and stop centering your worth around their reactions, you'll not only reclaim your own power, you'll model something deeply admirable. You'll show them what it looks like to honor oneself. And in doing so, you quietly teach them to do the same, for you and for themselves. 2. Don't argue. Lead by example. Arguments rarely change hearts. In fact, they often entrench people deeper into their own beliefs. Instead of engaging in back and forths that lead nowhere, respond to disrespect with calm strength and quiet confidence. This kind of reaction speaks louder than words, showing maturity, control, and self-assurance. Carry yourself with dignity even when you feel unseen. Speak wisely and sparingly, choosing your words with intention rather than emotion. You don't need to prove your worth to anyone, especially not through conflict. Simply embody it through your posture, your presence, your actions. Remember, respect isn't won through loud declarations or heated exchanges. It's earned over time through the way you hold yourself in every situation, especially the difficult ones. 3. Withdraw your emotional dependence. You can love your children with all your heart, care for them, and wish the best for them, without tying your identity or sense of self-worth to their behavior or approval. That kind of love is pure, strong, and unconditional. But the moment your emotional well-being starts depending on whether they validate you, respect you, or give you attention, the power in the relationship subtly shifts, and not in your favor. They begin to feel the weight of your expectations, and what was once love can start to feel like emotional pressure. This doesn't mean shutting off your feelings or pretending you don't care. It means recognizing that your happiness, your peace of mind, your sense of self, all of that must come from within, not from anyone else, not even your children. Cultivate your own sources of joy. Reconnect with passions or dreams you may have put aside. Find fulfillment in your own growth, your friendships, your hobbies, and your time alone. When you become emotionally self-reliant, something powerful happens. Your children begin to respect your space and your strength. They start to admire your balance, Instead of feeling obligated to fill your emotional cup, they come to you willingly because they see you as whole, independent, and grounded. And in that space of mutual respect, love flows more freely, without guilt, without pressure, just naturally as it should. 4. Set boundaries and enforce them. Respect isn't just about how you feel, it's about what you allow and what you model. If your children speak to you in ways that are hurtful, dismissive, or condescending, it's not something to brush off. It's a signal that a boundary needs to be set. And not just any boundary, one that is clear, calm, and unwavering. This isn't about issuing threats or ultimatums. It's about having the strength to say, "I won't be spoken to like that." Or, "This conversation can continue when we're both ready to speak respectfully." It's about teaching others how to treat you, not through confrontation, but through conviction. Your consistency in enforcing these lines shows that your self-worth isn't negotiable. And yes, there may be resistance at first. They may push back, minimize, or act as if you're the problem. But don't let that deter you. When you calmly uphold your boundaries, not once, but every time, you send a message. You respect yourself, and you expect others to do the same. Over time, this steady strength begins to reshape the relationship. Respect doesn't happen by accident. It's earned, protected, and reinforced through boundaries that honor your dignity. 5. Stop giving without appreciation. If your giving is met with entitlement instead of gratitude, it's time to pause and reflect. Generosity, when repeatedly unappreciated, doesn't foster love. It fosters expectation. What once began as heartfelt support quietly turns into a transaction, and before you know it, your kindness is taken for granted. Start by reassessing where your time, energy, and resources are going. Are you constantly stepping in to help even when it's not asked for, or worse, not acknowledged? Are you saying yes because you feel obligated, not because it feels right? It's okay to say no. In fact, it's necessary. By protecting your time and energy, you reclaim your worth. And when you begin to pull back, not out of spite, but out of self-respect, your children will start to feel the absence of what they've overlooked. They'll begin to understand that your support isn't automatic. It's a gift, not a given. And with that realization, appreciation can begin to grow where entitlement once lived. 6. Build a life outside of them. The most respected people, especially as they age, are those who continue to invest in a rich, vibrant life of their own. We're talking about more than just staying busy. We're talking about actively pursuing things that light you up, joining that painting class you always wanted to try, taking weekend trips with old friends, volunteering for causes you care about, learning something new just for the fun of it. These aren't distractions, they're declarations that your life is still full of meaning, curiosity, and joy. Don't wait for your children to call, visit, or fill your schedule. Build a life that is so fulfilling, so beautifully yours, that their attention becomes a welcome addition, not your only source of joy. When your children see that your happiness doesn't hinge on them, they'll begin to admire your strength, your independence, and your resilience. And in that shift, something powerful happens. Respect returns, not because you demanded it, but because you've reminded them who you truly are. Final thoughts. You can't force your children to respect you. Respect that is demanded is rarely authentic. But what you can do is create the conditions where it naturally grows, where it's inspired by who you are and how you show up in their lives. By standing tall, setting and holding healthy boundaries, reclaiming your voice, and living a life anchored in purpose and joy, you shift the dynamic, not through pleading or proving, but through quiet, steady confidence. You stop chasing validation and instead become a living example of self-worth. Your presence begins to speak louder than your words ever could. And when that shift occurs, something powerful unfolds. Your children start to see you differently. Not as someone who needs their attention to feel whole, but as someone who commands respect simply by being true to themselves. They may not say it out loud, but they begin to look up to you, not just as a parent, but as a whole, evolving person. You deserve to be seen, to be valued, and to be respected, not just for what you've given, but for who you are. And the journey toward that begins with one powerful truth. It starts with you.